Robocraft 2. Is it worth a try? I won't say worth a buy because it's free to play, but there's thousands of free to play titles out there, and there's probably just a fraction of them that might interest you and that you will consider worth your time. I have been playing the early alpha build of the game for almost a year up until the Steam release, and I've been really enjoying it. I think it's a pretty good foundation for something that can become a great game. And then the game released the 7th of November of 2023 on Steam, and this happened. A huge amount of negative reviews. Does this mean it's actually a bad game? Do all these negative reviews mean you should autopause on the game? Do they mean I'm really weird for liking it? Absolutely not. Like, I might be weird, but not for liking Robocraft 2. Does it mean this game is for everyone? Well, also absolutely not. I'm pretty confident that if this game would have been released in a vacuum by some new developer, like out of nowhere, right? Robocraft by B-Jam or something stupid like that, then it would have landed somewhere between positive and very positive. The thing is, Robocraft 2 is not released in a vacuum. I mean, it's called Robocraft 2 for a reason. There is a Robocraft 1, and I think like a huge amount of the people who had Robocraft 2 on their wishlist had it because they played Robocraft 1. Probably not very recently. I mean, there's almost no one playing Robocraft 1 right now. It's more likely they played it back when they were kids.
Oh no, wait.
No, I haven't, because we do
Oh, okay.
So, welcome to Random Adventure Parties with Atlas Core and me, Ketmol. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Very few things can measure up to your childhood memories. Not even your childhood memories. I mean, try watching your favorite movie from back when you were 12. Like, if you watch that one as an adult, it's not that good.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Browsing through the negative reviews, a lot of them are not really about the state of Robocraft 2 at launch. It's more about how it does not compare to whatever their favorite year of Robocraft 1 was, be it like 2014, 15, 16 or 17, right? Another, actually a rather large chunk of the negative reviews are complaining about the monetization kind of one way or another. It's not really about the game, but how it's monetized. And that is despite the game being monetized, in my opinion, extremely fairly. The real tech ladder, where you kind of have to actually unlock stuff that is useful in game, is extremely short. I will show it to you. You have to click build mode, wait for a bit. You have to actually open up a garage, and then you have to press L, and here it is. This is really short. I did not unlock it myself because I played the alpha from before this got implemented, but I have been told by people who actually unlocked it that you unlock it in like a few nights gaming and you unlock everything. And this is like everything. All the cubes, all the guns, everything you need to make any type of robot. You don't have to pay for any of this. There's no huge grind to get access to the stuff. You get everything for free. It's just that, right? You had to click. Let me get back to the main menu. Oh, not the main menu. I will get to the UI later. The UI is actually horrible. No, let's get back to that one right away. This is how you quit Robocraft 2 if you're in the building bay. You press escape. You press return to Robocraft selection. You press OK. You wait for a bit. Press escape again. Press quit to main menu. Wait. This time for a little bit longer. You can't really press escape here. You actually have to go up here. Press quit. Do the game quit? No, you have to press here as well, and then the game will quit. But a horrible UI you can fix. A horrible game is harder. The game is not bad, the UI is, right? So in order to actually go to where you unlock the stuff you kind of need to unlock to be competitive, you need to, again, click build mode. Click a garage. Then go to the L menu. Yeah, this one here. And then you have to start unlocking stuff. But a player who just started the game, will they go look there for a progression system? Very unlikely. They will check the main menu, right? And what do they find? They find the battle matrix. What is this? Well, this looks like progression, right? And what do we have in this progression? We have guns. That seems very useful. Some of those guns very far away up here. And you can advance this progression through actually paying money. And you can unlock the whole thing. and it's rather grindy to unlock it slowly without paying money, and you can't even access all these parts. That kind of seems a bit pay to win, right? But everything you see here are just cosmetic versions of the stuff that I showed in that little tech ladder that you can unlock in a few evenings of gaming. But this is not pay to win, it's just poor UI design. I would also have thought this was the real progression entering the game for the first time if I hadn't been part of that long early alpha. And then there was also a bunch of people complaining about there even being a season pass, even if they understood it was purely cosmetic. But I think this is a free-to-play title. They need to make money somehow. The thing they didn't like was that 3M spent time developing this season pass while there were still some what you would call core features that was not really ready for the game yet. It's just that it's first of all different people working on this and those features. This is mostly just the artists doing stuff. The artist can't implement a chat function. The artist can't program the party system. Those features, they're made by different people. But also this is a free-to-play title. This is what to expect. With all that out of the way, let's move on to the actual game. Because like I said in the beginning, despite the negative reviews, I think this is a good game. But I also don't think this is a game that exactly everyone will like. And it most certainly is not Robocraft 1 with just updated graphics. I would like to start to talk about building, because building is, I think, the strong selling point for Robocraft 2 and where it's way ahead of its predecessor. You got a bunch of cubes. I know you had a bunch of cubes in Robocraft 1 as well, but you can stretch those cubes to different sizes, and this allows for a completely different level of detail on your builds to create some amazing artbots. On top of that, you got sensors, you got different types of passive joints like springs and stuff, power joints that you can control with logic and math blocks to make really cool functions for your robot. Like this robot here I created very early on. At the time of making this DeLorean replica, I only had the 6 basic colors, but now they have implemented this thing, so you can actually, and this is not something you have to pay for, you got access to every single color without paying anything for the game. You're limited to 6 colors per robot though. On top of that, you have a bunch of different materials you can choose and cosmetic versions of those materials. But that's not the end of it. I mean, this robot is, of course, a lot more of this car replica, a lot more detailed than anything you could possibly make in Robocraft 1. But you can also do this. Try do that in Robocraft 1. This car is obviously not meant for combat. I don't even have guns on it. I used every single CPU on different types of details. But you can absolutely make stuff in Robocraft 2 that looks great and is viable for combat. Look at this little build, for example, by Oxydoom. I faced it a couple of times in battle and it's definitely very good and competitive. Let's now compare it to how the early, really good gun beds of Robocraft 1 used to look. For people who come from Trailmakers or Scrap Mechanics, games like that, who are really used to building and really like that aspect of games, I feel like Robocraft 2, even in its current state, is definitely worth your time. You will really like the building a lot. I mean, someone even created Pong inside of the game, like the game in the game, right? I think it's at this point we probably get into the territory of stuff not everyone will like, because how you make your robot look will not only be how it looks, it will also affect how well it behaves in battle. The type of connections you have, the size and shape of them will decide how strong they are. Type of materials used will also decide how strong the connection is, and how thick your plates are or the cubes are that you place will also affect how much damage might penetrate to the cubes behind it when you get hit. So how you put your robot together will really affect how well it performs in battle in terms of survivability. It will also have effect on how it drives or how it flies and stuff like that. So the difference in combat performance between a poorly constructed robot and a well-made robot is huge. And it's a quite steep learning curve before you actually get to the point where you will be able to make good robots. So Robocraft 2 really catered to people who like to build artbots, like this amazing dragonfly by Guppy in Rage. And the game also caters to players who like to spend hours min-maxing their builds or perfecting their armor, or like in this case with a bot by Patou, how to turn enemy robots into confetti. But it does not cater to players who just want to throw something together that looks nice, where the building would have mostly cosmetic effect. From the building systems and the damage and health systems that I don't feel are really make the game good or bad. It's just the direction of the game that some players might really like and some players might like a lot less. to something that I feel FreeJam really needs to work with. Like I mentioned, like how you build your robot really affects how it performs in battle, but there's nowhere in the game where that is explained in a good manner. Like you have to look on external pages, blog posts, forums, Discord. Other places than inside the game to get the information you need in order to build a decent robot that will perform well in battle. Like the tooltips are really lacking. There's no real explanation in game for how the health system works, how the damage system works, how much health a connection will have. Like there's no way of knowing that as a new player. So for a new player, needing to like look at a ton of external places to get the information needed to actually make something good in game, that's not acceptable. I feel like the minimum would be like when you make a connection between two materials, like here, there should be a tooltip showing the connection health. Like if I change material here, that should reflect. That's something that instantly would give the players an idea of how strong the connection they made was, right? Same with how much penetration resistance the cubes will have. Like if we go into materials and we go to medium materials, we look at penetration resistance, 5000 kgpm. Well, that's actually kilojoule per meter, but first you have to guess that. And then you have to go like, okay, so what's a meter? Is that a cube? Like, is this a meter? Or is this a meter? Well, no, turns out 5 cubes, that's a meter, right? How will I know that as a new player? There's no way I can know this. Like, with a complicated system comes the requirement of at least a minimal amount of hand-holding for new players, explaining the systems within the game. If you will use something like meters in game, give the players a means to actually know what a meter is. Like maybe put stuff here that shows what is a meter, what is 2 meters. So in short, like the building is good. I really like actually the armor and health system, that it matters how thick your armor is. What I don't like is that the player have to look everywhere but the actual game in order to find the information they need. Robocraft 2 is also 100% server-side physics. This allows for some really cool stuff when it comes to how robots can interact with each other. You have robots that can flip other robots that can just chomp other robots into small pieces, big robots pushing small robots, all sorts of crazy stuff, right? Weapons can also have real recoil that affects your robot. This is extremely noticeable on very light flyers, where the recoil from shooting the laser can push your robot around. But having everything calculated server side unfortunately comes with some downsides. Playing with bad ping to the server makes the game close to unplayable. Even with somewhat good ping in the 50 millisecond range, there is kind of this slight but noticeable desync between what you do and see and what is actually happening. This makes everything from shooting to handling your robot feel a bit less responsive compared to a lot of other vehicle-based shooters that do not have server-side physics or everything calculated server-side. This is nothing you can really fix technically. You need like a big enough player base you can actually connect people within like a decent time frame, so you don't need to sit in queue for too long and still get like a good ping through the server. I think actually this with the ping is one of the reasons for like a bunch of the negative reviews, because if you have really high ping, like plus 160 or something like that, the game warns you that you might not have a good experience because the ping is very high. But below that, like at 100 something ping, you still will have a pretty bad experience and the game don't tell you why. You can check your ping by pressing F8 in game, but new players won't press F8 to check their ping. They will just go into the game, start a match, feel like it's really laggy and desynced, quit the game, give a thumbs down. They can't really decide how big of a player base they get, but they can make it clear what the bad game experience is dependent of. Give the players the tools to, for example, limit maximum ping, so players can accept longer queue times to not have to play games with high ping. That will also make it visible for the players that the bad experience depends on their ping. You can either use the all integrated turrets or make like a really pink and boxy one. Well, it doesn't have to be pink and boxy, but you kind of get the idea. You can make a custom one, right? But regardless of what you choose to do, even the lightest possible turrets with the lightest possible guns will not be able to move as fast as you can move your mouse. So you see that little circle there, kind of trying to tag along with wherever I move my mouse? That's my true aim. Unless I hold my aim really still like this and not moving it too much, as well as not like moving my robot too much, this one will not really be exactly where I point my aim, but rather moving towards that place. So this is because everything is server-side physics, and your guns doesn't really magically just point to wherever you point. They have to move there using aiming servos and aiming hinges, and they're affected by like how your robot moves, external forces, weight, everything like that. This is a design decision that I feel not everyone will like. Maps and objective variety are lacking at this point. There are 3 different multiplayer maps, but they all have the same game mode with 3 capture points and no real side objectives. So after a while the game can feel quite repetitive, and the game plays out pretty much in the same way regardless of the map you're on. There is very little tactical difference, if any, between them. More game modes are planned, so hopefully this can be improved throughout early access. I think this is okay though for an early access title right out of the gates, but what I don't think is okay is for a multiplayer game to launch without the party system. If you want to team up with a friend, it is yet not possible. A party system is on the roadmap and high priority, and from my understanding quite close to be released, but it's not there yet. If this is a deal breaker for you, you should wait a month or so until they actually implement it. So to sum things up, Robocraft 2 is free to play. With a very player-friendly monetization model, the building system is engaging and allows for complexity and makes some really cool stuff. Server-side physics allow for some really amazing interactions between robots in multiplayer. This comes, however, at the cost of somewhat steep learning curve in terms of building and lack of responsiveness in multiplayer, as well as the need of a very good ping to the servers for the game to be an enjoyable multiplayer experience. If you find building to be the most enjoyable part of the build, drive, fight formula, then this game is definitely for you. If you find multiplayer combat to be the most important part of the very same formula, and you don't care that much for building, give it a try, it's free after all, but depending on how picky you are in terms of how responsive the guns and driving feels, there might be other titles that better suit your taste. I hope you found this early access review helpful. If you did, then you know the deal, give a thumbs up. Maybe write a comment below. If you plan to play Robocraft 2, maybe even subscribe. I mean, you're most welcome to subscribe even if you don't plan to play Robocraft 2, but the present content on my channel might not be very relevant for you in that case. I would also like to recommend a video by Ace73 on pretty much the same subject. I will pin a comment with a link to that video below this one. Cheers!